You're tuned in to Steve Megatron on Altered Geek.
Hello and welcome to Altered Geek. I'm your host Steve Megatron Phillips, and joining me in this episode is...
Michael Booth Ninja Powers.
Yep, and we return for another episode of one of our Off the Cuffs, and in this one we're going to be talking about customizations of things that we've owned or things that we've modified specifically because of just wanting to do it. So what are some of the various things that you've done, either customizations or paid for or just modified because you really wanted to?
Okay, so we brought this topic up earlier today, and I've been kind of like racking my brain trying to think of some things, because as I've gotten older, I don't do a whole lot of customization because I don't buy a lot of toys anymore. Like, I buy Legos,
and this could be anything,
right? I'm getting there. I buy, like, okay, I'll just start when I was younger. Okay, I did customization when I was younger. I would do things like with my Legos. Like, kids these days have it super easy. Like, there is a Lego Batman figure.
Yep. And
there are, they're knockoff Legos, but there are Ninja Turtle figures.
Lego Transformers.
But as a kid, didn't have any of that stuff. So one of the things I remember doing as a kid is I would break out my dad's model paints, and I made myself a Batman Lego. And I made myself Ninja Turtle Legos. And I also made myself a RoboCop Lego. And also Power Ranger Legos. I would just paint the little Lego figures, the minifigures. I'd put the various accessories on them to make them look the way that I wanted them to look, and then I'd bust out the model paints, and I would paint up the helmet to look like the White Ranger with like the gold and the yellow. The gold and the black, or Batman with the yellow symbol on the chest. That was kind of like one of my early things of like customization. One of the other two other things I can think of off the top of my head were I don't know if you've seen this. You must have seen this because you're an action figure guy.
Probably.
But there was I think it came out with Batman Returns.
Okay.
With the Batman Returns toy line, there was a Robin.
Okay.
I'm fairly sure it was the Batman Returns toy line. There was a Robin figure, and it was based off of Robin 2.
Yep, from the comics. I had it.
Okay. That was my favorite figure. And one of the things I like to do is the cape. This is an aside. The cape, right? It was black and yellow.
Yep.
But it was 2 sheets. I found out that if you got the cape wet and you pulled it apart, you could actually blow it up into an inflatable.
What?
Yeah.
I did not know that.
It was like a balloon. Like, it was, obviously I had this when I was a kid, so I could play with it in the bathtub. But like, I would make Robin float around the bathtub on his cape.
That's funny.
That wasn't a mod, mind you, but I did modify the one of the things I did though is, Robin's got to have a grappling hook, right? I got do you remember Sky Commanders? Did you ever have any of those?
I didn't have them, but I was familiar with it.
Okay, well, every Sky Commander had the little bungee cable that attached to their back and then attached to this little wrist mounted thing. Remember that at all?
Yep.
Okay. I took one of those wrist-mounted things, the little red wrist mounts, and I got some fishing line, wrapped it around there, and then I put an actual, I think it was like a 3-point or a 4-point fish hook on the end of it.
Okay.
For like a grappling hook. So I'm, 10, 12, 13 years old, playing with this action figure that's got this ultra sharp fish hook that's like like just swinging it around like it's nothing. So like I did stuff like that like when I was a kid. I also had one of the most destructive things I've ever done was I used to have, they weren't Matchbox cars, um, but they were Days of Thunder cars. They were they were metal.
Yep.
They might have been they weren't Matchbox. They were knockoff Matchbox, but they were the Days of Thunder cars. So like Mellow Yellow, the what was it, Superflow, and Exxon.
Mm-hmm.
And I remember like, you watch the movie and the cars are all banged up, but you get the car, you buy the car, the little Matchbox looking thing, and it's like in pristine condition. I remember my cousins and I like scraping them along the concrete, like to get them like worn in, like to get that racing look, that authentic
Nice.
paint scraping look.
Never thought about that.
So I mean that's just what we did. But as I got older, like I got out of. I think my customizing stuff kind of follows the trajectory of like my what I've done with Lego. Like I don't free build out of Lego anymore. I go and I buy the kit, you know. So I don't like when it comes to like action figures and stuff like that. I don't kit bash or anything like that. Like I I I buy like the amiibo that is the character that I want, or I buy expensive, Japanese figurines of Samus Aran because those are the action figures that I want. Like I don't, I, but that tends to go over with like everything. Like when I go to buy something, I kind of tend to make sure everything about it is what I want because I don't like. Like I said earlier, I think one of the things that immediately popped into my head was the only time I really customize anything is like with a car. Um, but I don't care for aftermarket anything. Like I've painted like the grill on my Volt. I painted that black, and it made it look really great. Um, I've done stuff like that, just like modding my car, but I've never done like I'm gonna put a stereo in this car or anything like that. I put vented disc brakes on a car, drilled and slotted, but I've never gone and like added a whole bunch of like aftermarket stuff or gotten aftermarket rims because I try to buy, like I said, I try to buy everything the way that I want it because I don't feel like I have the time or the patience to do that kind of stuff anymore. So, but I know you do. You do
Yeah,
some stuff.
I kind of go through these spurts where I like to customize things, and then I go through these spurts where I'm like, I'd just rather buy it. Um, and it just kind of depends on my mood. Like a few years ago, like some people will be familiar with it, some people might not. I was doing Legends of the Dark Knight. I was really enthused with. Well, I think it was actually before that podcast, but um, I was really enthused with Batman Beyond: Return of the Joker, and I had the film. I was like, why did they never make an actual old man Joker in the toy line? Like, there were they had the molds. They could have done it. It would have been easy, like literally easy. And it drove me nuts. And so I customized two figures. I bought two of them on eBay. It cost me like $5 a piece. So for $10 and like $5 in paints, I made this figure. Had to use sandpaper. Had to use like two different grits of sandpaper. Because I took the Joker from. They had this like ultra realistic looking Joker that had like green hair and everything, and I couldn't get the head to come off the torso of it,
Okay.
and I really didn't want to break the body, so I actually, because his neck was so long, I hacked his neck right off, took his head right off the body, and then I bought a Nightwing figure, and I hacked his head off, and then I shoved the Joker's head in there and glued it in, and so then I painted the Nightwing, like the bird emblem, black, and then I painted the rest of his body black. I painted the hands like that kind of off white that the Joker's skin is,
Okay.
and then the nails black with like really tedious painting on it, and then the Joker, I painted his. I sanded his head down so he didn't have all that weird curly hair type setup, and then painted his head, and then repainted part of the face that wasn't matching the rest of the figure, and then I basically created my own Batman Beyond Return of the Joker figure, and so it's still in scale with the rest of the figures, and I have like the Old Man Bruce, and then the Terry McGinnis Batman, and so it kind of went all hand in hand, and I was like, okay, I have the movie set here now with these, and so I thought that was kind of cool. So I never did customize a figure again since that, but before that I used to, because I had a lot of Beast Wars figures. And some of them I had doubles, and it would irritate me that some of them weren't show accurate color wise. And so I would buy paints to repaint the figures, and I did it as a kid. And granted, some of the paint jobs did not turn out very well, and it actually would get scraped when they would transform. But I tried. I think if I did it now, they'd come up much better. But now I just wait for them.
You get an A for effort.
Yeah, now I just wait for the masterpiece figures to come out, and then I'm just like, I'll just get those.
See, that's where my my toy stuff went, right? Like it's not I gotta find a way to make this myself. I have for lack of a better way to say this, I have disposable income. Let me find someone that already made the figure that I want. Like.
Well, it's like
a way to make that happen.
Yeah, and so like that's part of it. And then back in those days, like when I was real little and I was building things out of Legos, I used to build because they didn't have Lego Star Trek or Lego Transformers back then. I had to be creative. I took all of my bricks and I had a massive amount of Legos, and I built my own Star Trek Enterprise bridge. With sliding doors in the back, everything was laid out like the Enterprise A. I had like this whole setup of how it looked. I built the engineering, I built the briefing room, I built like everything. Like it was insane the amount of stuff I had.
I never built that stuff. I built the ships out of Lego.
I did do that too, and funny you should mention that. I used to take permanent marker, which was really stupid back then. To draw the lights, like the different color, like I would draw the detail on the ships that I would build on Legos. Like for the little dots or the little specific like window effects or things like that. Because every now and again when I'm building with my boys, I'll see a random Lego piece that I colored as a kid. Because I had this giant, about almost 2 foot tall transformer that I built out of Legos, which I shattered a few years ago for parts for them. But it used to transform into a jet. That was like my last transformer robot I built out of Legos, which was fully detailed. But it was like bigger than Fortress Maximus. But I used to build all the transformers out of Legos, and they would not look as show accurate as I would like, but you could kind of tell who they were based on color palette. But that was some of the things I used to do. Now my thing is I want a Star Trek uniform, and I'm debating whether do I make it, do I buy it, and so that's kind of the road I'm at now.
Yeah, I don't know. I was wondering if you were if you were researching it to make it or if you were researching it to buy it. So that, I don't know. I don't think I've ever had the guts to wear anything Star Trek related ever. Like I like Star Trek, but I feel like that's the one fandom, if you will, like that's the one, like outwardly, like I will talk Star Trek. I will go to the movies. I will watch the movies. I will watch the shows. But that is one thing that is one part of like geek fandom that I will not like advertise. If that makes any sense.
Yeah.
Like, and I don't know what it is. Like, I would have no problem putting like the Rebel symbol or the Jedi symbol on my car, or I have no problem putting like an Apple logo on my car.
I think
Or
there's a difference in it though. Like because I used to put Transformers like Autobot or Decepticon symbols on my vehicles before I didn't have one that I had to share. Which now they're not allowed on the vehicles anyway.
apologies to anyone that can hear my cat.
That's all right. My cat did that earlier.
He's very chatty right now.
I hear. Hello, Kitty. Hello. That's what it sounded like. So yeah, I used to have a like original series Captain Kirk costume as a kid. And then I had the Next Generation Picard uniform as a kid, and then I had the basically the homemade Star Trek Generations Kirk in the vest uniform, which was my mom helped me make it. I don't even know what we used, but I did the best I could for what I had. I still have the flip communicator from when I was a kid, and I have the Next Generation and the Voyager comm badges to this day, but with another one coming on the way from the motion picture, I still need to get the one from the original series films from like 2 through 7. But so I mean, like I'm still like kind of debating the whole process of it, like because and luckily I'm a part of Starfleet International, so there's people there that they all build ad nauseum these things. My thing is if I'm gonna do it, I don't want it to look like crap. And
Yeah,
because if it's almost worse if you buy one and it looks like crap compared to if you have a good one.
See, that's where I get hung up on just about like anything. So like, we talk about kit bashing or, making these changes to things, but like I feel like that's something that I run into and you, and it sounds like you do as well, like trying to create something. It's like if you're gonna do it, you want to do it right, and then you get so stuck up in your head that it almost paralyzes you to the point where you just don't pull the trigger on it, because it's like you can't make the stars align or you can't nail down your vision or something like that. So it's like I don't, because I can't get everything in a row, I don't want to do this because I don't want it to evolve over time. I want it to be what it is out the door.
Yep, and that's my dilemma is because I've been looking ad nauseum at eBay, and my I play Star Trek Online, so it lets you customize, like you can choose the different uniforms, the color palettes, everything, and so there's this one uniform that they sell, but the colors are totally wrong compared to what I want. And they only sell it for like one, like for the science division. They don't sell it for the command tactical division. They sell it for science, not engineering, so it kind of drives me nuts on that. So the one I want is kind of a mixture of multiple costumes, which they created for the game, but it's basically like two of the uniforms, like just mixing parts of them. And so like that's the kind of dilemma I'm running into, and because I can't get the color palette I want, and because either the material looks cheap or whatnot, it's prevented me from pulling the trigger all these years.
Yeah.
So I have some people in Starfleet International helping me research because I know nothing. And I told them as much. I'm like, look, I'm just trying to find out like what the cost effectiveness of buying or paying somebody to do it. Like it's, compared to me making it or figuring it out. So, because I think I could make one of them, fairly easily and cheaply, but like the other ones, like there's no way I'd have to have a pro do it. But I mean, that's kind of the thing with anything that you're doing is like if you kind of have to weigh the option. Is it worth putting time and energy into doing something if you know you're not going to hit that aesthetic and that look that you want? Or, you know, do you have that OCD for perfectionism, or is, you know, it's just okay if it looks similar?
Yeah, like I said, I just get paralyzed when it comes to that stuff. Like I tend to, if I can't get it the way I want it, I tend to just lean the other way, and I don't even care, you know, for it. I'm trying to think of something that recently where that has happened to me, where I felt like that, but I can't. Nothing's really coming to mind at the moment.
Yeah.
No. So yeah. Want to close it out?
Yeah, I mean, if people have comments or things that they want to say about this topic, you can use the hashtag altered customs to kind of converse on maybe your thoughts or what you've personally kind of run into with, you know, when you've customized something, when you've wanted to customize something, whether, you know, it's cost effective for you, or, you know, just it would be interesting to hear what you think about the situation, like when you personally may have done something like this in the past, or even currently.
Yeah, so you can let us know on the Facebook page or at geekcastradio.com. You can also obviously use the hashtag on Twitter to hit up myself at Booth Ninja 81.
Yep, and you can get a hold of me on the Twitters at SCP21. I'm fairly frequent on there. So until next time, get altered, get geeky with the Altered Geeks.